The next one is Maria Lorenz.
Not here.
No here? Maria Lorenz? Yeah.
Oh,
That's okay.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
I'm here and I come today before you as one of your commissioners has stated that today is a new day. I hope that going forward it marks a day of responsiveness from leadership to parents' concerns and not ignoring emails and phone calls. I want to personally thank Mr. Cortez, Assistant Superintendent, and Ms. Sinizan for attending to some previous pressing issues that were important to me. So thank you very much if you're here. Today, my focus is needed in regards to special services. I find it extremely egregious that not once but twice I've been asked to sign an individualized education plan for both of my children without reading it. Just recently, I was being coerced to sign a document that, as we speak, has been on its 5th draft and is still not into me, due to improper observation of my child. It is unacceptable that one of your school staff tells a parent that advocates for her child that it is futile and that the child is drowning in the abyss of autism. I find that completely disgusting. I hope that this new day brings more funds into special services so that we may allocate appropriate resources and incur less lawsuits in the future. I also noticed in your core belief video that you included all of the children, unfortunately omitting those that have a disability. I hope that that is kept in the forefront of your agenda, as the running theme here seems to be tonight that no one will be silenced. I said it with the previous leadership here, and I'll say it again. I will continue to speak on issues of special services because it is a cause that is clear and very dear to my heart. I am a veteran at this in New York City, and I had just come into Elizabeth to see what I was getting into. It is broken, and it surely needs to be fixed. I hope that starts with you. Thank you.
You have something to say?
We worked very hard for that, Madam President. We campaigned together, door to door. That was one of the biggest concerns that you and I had, and I was looking forward to working with you to fix it.
Thank you. The next person is Carnestina Smith. Carnestina Smith. Where is it? Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Board of Education Commissioners.
good evening.
The reason why I came here this evening is to talk about transportation. Children have the right to be transported to school back and forth if they're not able to go on their own persons. Children have the right for free lunch if they afford it, can afford it. The children have the right to honesty. I am so proud what school's children are doing now. I'm so proud of the new judge coach. Even though myself is a diehard Patriots fan, I'm still proud of him. He's from Elizabeth. Now, this evening, my heart is broken. I'm broken because there's no dignity in Elizabeth. What you guys did in that closed meeting January 6th is a mockery of our laws in this country. My forefathers fought so hard for me to have the right to vote, and what you did was wrong. You put a black sign on Elizabeth, New Jersey. You thought you can get away with it. Your little mini meetings, you were caught, and you came back. That's not right. That's not the way of this land. I have forefathers. My forefathers were slaves. We couldn't read or write. My father couldn't go to college he wanted to because he was colored. And what you did at Prairie Me, you put shame to Elizabeth. I myself is commissioner for the state. I work with Governor Christie. I'm ashamed that I could say I'm from Elizabeth. I used to hold my head up high. When I found this evening, I brought my head low. But I cannot put myself categorized with you people who did that. It is wrong. You represent the children of Elizabeth. You put shame to the children of Elizabeth. How can I represent you, what you did on January 6th? It will not be forgotten. It's in history. You're laughed at because you're from Elizabeth and they think you're crooked. And you call yourself a lawyer, you don't know the law of this land? Whatever. Okay, you say you represent Elizabeth, you represent New Jersey. I'm Rutgers myself. You put shame to Rutgers. You put a Rutgers grad do something stupid like that? You put shame to Elizabeth. You put a black ball on Elizabeth. It's a black cloud going around Elizabeth. That's all I have to say. Everybody have a good evening, and let's raise our head high. What they did was wrong. They know they were wrong. We have to stop it. I am what I am. I keep my word. I represent who I am. My heart is broke. Okay? I'm ashamed of the Board of Education here at Elizabeth. You took away our dignity. I hope you can live with yourself. Okay? Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Next person is Maria Echeverria.
Hello? I got paperwork. Okay.
Good evening, Maria.
Good evening, Montero, and everybody else. Okay. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Angela Echeverria. Okay? I'm going to give you a background of the whole, where it all started from for your new people. Okay? This started in the first grade. She stood back to first grade. She had an evaluation in the second grade. They said she passed it. I did an independent evaluation in the third grade, and it got lost in staff. Staff misplaced whatever. It never made it to its proper channels to child study team. Then I started from scratch again. And then she finally, and that was back in 2007, when we started IEP stuff. Her very first classification was 2012. 4 years wasted, at least. So now we are 2015. She's still not in a proper placement. She has academic levels from a 4th grader to an 8th grader, being in the 9th grade, and she's drowning in school. School being the pool, and all of yous are the lifeguards, and yous are letting my baby drown. I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe this. And when I do meetings, okay, I bring administrative codes, okay? 18A:46-5.1. Another one. 18A:46-13. Okay? Oh, and that's from the Title 18. And then we got the administrative codes that, you know, you bring the laws and everything, and, you know, they act like you don't know what you're talking about. In 2012, I did have a book on ADLD. I was told that wasn't my daughter. Her very first evaluation, lethargic was in there. Attention deficit lethargic disorder. When I met the neurologist, the neuropsych that the school district hired, I had this book with me. I saw selective mutism in my daughter. This doctor tells me, don't do no more reading. The doctor told me this at the meeting. We're talking lots about dyslexia. I write it in paperwork writing to rule in, rule out dyslexia. He writes down 3 things she isn't, but the word dyslexia wasn't one of the 3 things. She's in a wrong placement. It's already in writing since June of last year to have her placed out.
Mrs. Echeverria, remember you have 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm just giving the run.
I understand. We have
This has
other
been
people
for
too.
7 years. I know now they got something for dyslexia. I saw it in November, whatever. But please understand, you are 7 years too late for minds. Okay? So we have a lot of work to do for minds. I got 2 years before she's 18 and she could boot me off. So please, and you know, everybody knows. I'm sure everybody knows. Okay? And just, it's just crazy. But yes, please, somebody reach out to me, reach out to child study team people, get them to sign off perform care, because my daughter is just drowning. And she needs lots and lots of services. She needs a proper placement. It's FAPE, right? Free, appropriate public education. Okay? Please. And thank you. I guess that's it.
Thank you. The next person is Pia Carvajal.
Good evening. This is my first meeting from the year 2015. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I will remember this meeting though. I haven't been able to come. I have some family issues. My daughter was going through some tests. Thanks to the Board of Education, because the nurse point before the physical that something was wrong in her back, so we took care of it. We went to Beth Israel. So yes, the nurses do a good job at the school, all right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if may I continue, please? I see some children here in the meeting. We say when grown-ups do argue, children are asleep. I want you to think about that. I was gonna bring my daughter, but I'm not gonna bring my daughter no more. I tell you this much. It's a shame. I was at City Hall last night. You know I was there. For an incident that I don't even want to go there, but they work it out. I had Mr. Carlos Torres at the school aide meeting with me. We're going to meet with other people involved. We're going to fix it, even if I have to go door by door and fix it, okay? I don't want to see people arguing the way it happened tonight. This is embarrassing. Speaking about employee, I tell you this much. I am a parent-teacher organization. My daughter is 13 years old. I work with 2,000 or 3,000 people in Batin. All right? I am a PTO in School A. I work with 300 families in there. People ask me if I am an employee. I say I am a volunteer. I don't even introduce myself as a PTO president. I am just a humble helper. If people will have to pay me, they wouldn't have the money. Yes, I speak English. Sorry if I have an accent. It doesn't really matter to me. All right? It doesn't matter. I stood here so many times when I cannot say the word, I'm going to spell it. Period. I'm just so disappointed to the point I'm shaking because this is so embarrassing. Shame on everybody. The children, I guess everybody should apologize to the children present here to begin with. We need to take care of transportation, yes, but we have to thank the people that are transporting 50 kids per bus to 60. I've seen it every morning. These drivers are working with one assistant, are working crazy with those kids, like taking care of those kids.
Mrs. Moreira,
Yes.
you have 3 minutes.
Yes.
So-
So I just like to thank that, and thank every possible thing that Elizabeth did. I like to say, I do live in Elizabeth Board of Education. My mother was black. I don't know what color I am. My daughter calls me peach. Am I peach color? It doesn't matter? Does it really matter? It doesn't matter. We have to stop talking about nonsense. We are here for our children. All right? I want you to remember, I live in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I come from all the way to Peru, South America. My husband is from Colombia. My daughter says she's American, and indeed she is. She's been born in Livingston, New Jersey. We have to work for the children, and that's what I said last night. I live in Elizabeth, and my daughter goes to the public school, period. All right?
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Moreira. The next person is James Carey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You know, Tony, or I know you as Armenio. We played together in the sandbox when we were kids. When my grandmother, my late grandmother Margaret Jackson, came over to the store to visit Mary never said, well, I'm gonna prohibit James from playing in the sandbox with Armenio because he's black. Never said that. But, it's sad, and I'm not saying that it's you, But it's sad state of affairs that we're currently, you have some Colombian people that are over here, they're divided, and you have some Colombian people that are over here, okay? And during the course of the election, some things were said about Mr. Malik Jackson that weren't true, that were unfounded, saying that he was anti-Latino, which was never said, but you guys ran with it. And I mean, you know personally, Malik is not anti-Latino. I mean, if I may, Miss Sandra Torres, who's Colombian, is Malik anti-Latino? Carlos Torres, you're Puerto Rican. Is Malik anti-Latino? Yeah. Okay, but let me let you know the truth about Malik Jackson. He's been happily married to his high school sweetheart for 20 years. He's a proud father of 5 siblings, the oldest who plays for Temple University, and the other who's a star basketball player for Roosevelt Catholic, who hit the winning shot the other day, seen on News 12. Malik also won the long jump championship for Elizabeth High in 1988. He led Elizabeth High School to 2 consecutive state championships in 89 and 90 in both football and basketball. He earned an athletic scholarship to your alma mater, Rutgers University. He played professional football in Canada. He returned home to start a business called Training Today's Athletes, and their primary purpose is to train athletes in both sports and the classroom. He's never been convicted of a crime or felony. That's the Malik Jackson that should have been said. But none of that was said during the course of the election, and none of it was refuted. But I'm here to set the record straight about Malik. Now, the council president said something about race baiting. Now, one who's active in civil rights, Mr. Trillo, would perceive it as what you're doing is race baiting. For example, during the course of the election, these letters went out. This letter went out to the Portuguese community on behalf of Maria Carvalho, saying she didn't know Malik was allegedly locked up. Maria, did you send this out?
Absolutely not.
Thank
And Miss
you.
Amin was with me when I received that letter. Thank you.
This letter was sent to this was targeted to everybody in the black community with an old picture of mine. And I told you before, please use color paper because it's more appealing. Saying that I was telling everybody not to support Maria Carvalho, something I never do about it. So that's perceived as race baiting, okay? That's the true element of race. What you guys are doing, denouncing, trying to defame Malik and assassinate his character, saying he's anti-Latino, that's race baiting. And what you're doing in essence is dividing the city along racial boundaries. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. And in closing, Miss Amin, okay? I'm not here to beat you up, lambaste you, okay? Because you know what you did. And you have to live with yourself if you have a conscience. I spoke to you at Mount Tema when I said to you, I said, I gave you the salams in the Islamic way, and you told me, no, someone denounced it. And you and I had dialogue since then. You got to understand, people are upset, they feel deceived, and what the move that you made is, even though it's your prerogative, it's a Judas move. And you need to understand that. And see, when this stage event is over tonight, when these people go home, because it is staged, okay, I'll still be here. I've been here 19 years strong, and I'm going to continue being here. And I'm going to continue speaking out for things that are not right. If it's my colleagues who are on the board, and Armenia, you know, I'll speak out. So you got to understand the people's frustration. We welcome you in the black community. We took you under our wing. So understand the people's frustration. And Trujillo, you're not a bad guy. You and I have dialogue, we disagree on things, but this is considered race baiting. And it needs to stop because what you guys are doing in essence is dividing the city along racial boundaries, and it needs to stop.
Thank you.
And for the record, James, I was bigger than you once when we were Rugrats little kids.
I just want to make a comment. One comment, and it's about Malik Jackson. And that a person that I know personally, I mean, he will never be anti-Latino at all. He's very close. He can talk to any person in the whole world. So, and the next person is Jeanette Gilbert.
Steve?
She's coming.
This one?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Jeanette Gilbert. I belong to the ELOC here in Elizabeth. And I just come with just a couple of concerns from my organization, okay? Thank you. Okay. Now, I do have children that go to school here in Elizabeth, grandchildren's too. Some of the concerns about the following topics I have here, and it's just 3. Now, I hope I'm not out of line, Madam President, okay? Thank you. Okay. The procedure that replaced Mr. Monteris with Mr. Ferraro, it does not seem to be legal to us, besides the fact that the voters had already spoken with respect to not electing Mr. Ferraro. Okay? 2, Jose Rodriguez was not allowed to vote in the internal election of president of the board because he is president of the teachers union in another school district. The only limitation that possesses places in this participation in Elizabeth School is at the time of negotiations, he must abstain from voting. This was not such a time. It had nothing to do with the negotiations. 3, finally, we have to thank you in the past for having your business sessions after the public response time. Persons who wish to speak still need to sign up at 6 p.m. for a meeting which begins at 7 p.m. or later. 15 minutes before beginning of the meeting is sufficient, where before the beginnings of the meeting, I'm sorry, I'm reading that again, forgive me, is your beginning of the meeting sufficient? Where is your concentration for the public? All students' entertainment is a wonderful display of our children's talent, but it should be on a different night. The school meeting should be simply to give to the public an opportunity to express their concerns and their business to the board. Thank you. Thank you. We expect to see you in February for the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Madam President, I just want to recognize Malik Jackson, who's here. I didn't know he was here. Please give Malik Jackson a big round of applause.
Okay. And the last speaker is Rafael Fajardo.
Madam President, there's someone in the audience who said they signed.
Okay, before I came to say what I came here to say, which was about education, I would just like to say this is my first board meeting. I was born in this country. I went to school in Elizabeth. I graduated from Elizabeth High School. I have never been so embarrassed to be a part of Elizabeth as I am today. What has gone on here has got nothing to do with the students of the city. You should all be embarrassed. Now, the real reason I'm here today. Let me calm myself down here. I am here tonight to represent the parents who are choosing not to have their children take the PARCC test. In essence, they are refusing the test. I received a letter from my daughter's school stating that the state law and regulations require all students to take the state assessment. While this statement may be true, it is also true that we, as parents, have the fundamental right to direct the education of our children. The Supreme Court of the United States has firmly given parental rights the highest respect and protection. They have made it clear that a parent has the right to instruct their children, takes precedence over the state's interest. They also stated that the right to educate our children is guaranteed in the Bill of Rights and applicable to the states, the First and 14th Amendments. In a particular case, Griswold versus Connecticut, they emphasize that the state cannot interfere with the right of a parent to control their education. For this reason, I ask that the Board of Ed come up with a plan of action for those of us who choose to refuse the test and to let parents know, as it is their right to be informed. That is, if they do refuse the test, what alternative setting will be in place? I ask that you establish alternative settings with educationally relevant activities for non-test-taking students. I support quality teachers and believe in their ability to assess the students over the results of a standardized test, such as the PARCC. Teachers should evaluate children's progress using alternative and more meaningful measures, including project-based assessments, teacher-made tests, and performance-based assessments. I am sure if you were to ask a teacher, they would agree. I oppose the damage that the Common Core and high-stakes testings are inflicting on our students, cultivating within them anxiety and fear of failure rather than igniting a passion for lifelong learning. Administrations at many schools report that they have spent as much as a third of the school year preparing students to take this test. The PARCC test has already been proven to be ineffective. That is why half of the original states set to administer this test have pulled out. It is poorly designed and confusing. Answers to questions are made to be plausible. This makes it extraordinarily complex and confusing, especially for younger children. From my understanding, teachers and students cannot even see the test to find out what students got wrong or why, which makes it of no diagnostic or instructional value. None. Many parents are under the false impression that this test counts for a child's grade or that it is required for graduation to the next grade. That is also not true. The state of New Jersey has paid Pearson, the company administering the test and provides the schools with their textbook, $108 million. They also paid NJ Smart, which is a data collection agency and a subsidiary of Pearson, $95 million to collect that information about our children. The information is public record, and if you can go online to the state of New Jersey, Department of Treasury, Division of Purchases to view that information. This alone should have parents and taxpayers up in arms. We have schools in this district that are old and in need of repair, have no air conditioning, teachers have to buy their own supplies, yet there is this kind of money to pay for tests that have no value. Not to mention the money that this district has paid itself to prepare for the tests being totally online and upgrades for Wi-Fi. So, as this new board here is sworn in, I ask that you take a moment and reflect on those that have elected you, those that you have been required to serve. You have been elected to serve, you have not been elected to serve the extortionists in Washington or the bullies in Trenton or the profit-making corporations like Pearson or our Governor Christie, who's too interested in football games. It is the children of this district who you have been elected to serve. So, as the new year begins, I ask, how will you resolve to serve the children of this district?
Thank you. Oh, this is hard. Mr. Rafael Fajardo.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say that the owner of the Colombian newspaper, who was sitting right there, heard all the comments that Mr. Trujillo alluded to, and I was sitting right there with Mr. Trujillo sitting, and I heard those comments also. I like to say that my record of serving the people, the children of the city, speaks for itself. I have to say that I don't work for City Hall. I am standing here in front of you. Those of you that have financed your campaigns are the ones that are millionaires. And all I have to add at this moment is, because I can go on and on, but I am going to observe the 3-minute rule. As a matter of fact, I'm going to speak for the next 10 seconds. Madam President, always, as I have told everybody that sat in that Board of Education, vote your conscience, and I congratulate you for voting your conscience.
Any old business? New business?
Madam President?
Need to go to private, close the public session?
Yes, okay, we are going to the President requests a motion to go into the private session to consider matters absent under the Open Public Meetings Act, specifically for discussion of GS and LR and harassment, intimidation, and bullying results. The board will reconvene in public to take formal action.
Madam President?
Motion to adjourn?
Madam President?
Motion, second.
Second. The meeting is adjourned.
Do we need to vote?
Roll call, Mr. Kennedy.
Bathalis.
Madam President?
We are going to private session.
Castillo.
I would like.
Yes.
I wanted
Call,
to make,
please.
make
Excuse
a
me, are we
comment.
going to private session or are we adjourning the
Okay, we
meeting?
have to go private session.
Private.
What?
Montero.
We are-
Yes.
She did.
Naran.
Thank you to everybody
Yes.
who came and supported
Carvalho.
2 and 5.
Pereira. Rodriguez.
I just want to thank again the
Rodriguez.
public for coming out.
Rodriguez.
And yes.
Yes, yes.
Trujillo.
Yes.
Amin.
Yes.
Thanks. Look at the names on it.
So.